What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It is time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarch. We are breaking down episode 7 of The Penguin. No Damon, no Fat Thor, no Listen 3K with us today. Everyone is busy on a Monday, but we do have a very wonderful guest joining us back once again. Jamie Jirak, how are you doing today?
Great. You know, it's good to be unemployed because when all your friends let you down, they got things to do. I'm here for you, baby. I got you.
Oh, couldn't have worked out better. I'm excited to chat about the show with you today. And, you know, we got it's a special one for you because we've had you on for the Penguin a couple times. But since then, you have debuted a brand new podcast. Phase Hero is here.
Yes, very exciting. Brandon, Jenna, Aaron, and I have reunited for a new show, Phase Hero, where we're talking about all kinds of pop culture stuff. We have moved beyond just Marvel, but like it's still kind of mostly Marvel because you know that's what we love. But we're covering it all. So check us out, Phase Hero.
Yeah. Now available wherever you get your podcasts. You can find it on YouTube on Brandon Davis BD's YouTube channel. And it's really exciting to have the four of you back together. That first show with all the people in chat, that was so much fun. And so check out the Agatha All Along finale breakdown. They talked some Penguin. You can also find our Agatha All Along finale breakdown on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts with Rachel Leishman. We had a really fun time breaking that one down. Whenever we have Rachel on, it always gets dirty jokes related to the Marvel contact just start flying, and that was in effect with our last episode as well. So make sure you check that one out. Smash the like button if you're watching us on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our shows. We're going to be having some games and some drafts in the meantime because we don't have any weekly shows to cover for the next little bit here. The next things we're going to be breaking down will be the Skeleton Crew and Creature Commandos. We will have some live shows for those, so make sure you stay tuned. But in the meantime, we're going to have some really fun time here as well. But 7 episodes through, all that's left is the finale for the Penguin. But before we dive in, what else have you been watching? We've been so busy with so much content. We haven't had a Watcha Watching here on the Agents of Fandom podcast in a while, but I think we got time for it today.
Yeah, the Halloween season's over. So taking a break from some horror after lots of horror. I went and saw Anora yesterday on film. 35 millimeter was awesome. I loved it. It was a great film. I think she's gonna get an Oscar nomination, and that's great. And then so I saw this movie at the Vista, which is, you know, they'll play old trailers before a new movie, and they played the trailer for Boogie Nights. So I was like, well, now I have to watch Boogie Nights again. So I got home yesterday, rewatched Boogie Nights. A perfect film, a 5 out of 5. I would argue it's a feel-good film. Maybe some would dispute that, but that was the last thing I watched as of yesterday.
I really feel like I need to get back to the theater, but it is so hard to find a time to do it with a new baby. And so I have my mom coming over, I believe, Tuesday afternoon. And we're going to go see We Live in Time in theaters with Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. Super excited to see that one. Don't think it'll be a feel-good movie by any means, but I'm really excited to go see that one. We just finished our rewatch of The Legend of Korra. And so that's kind of been on in the background right now while we've been doing other things. But I started a new video game, Dragon Age Veilguard, and I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. I've just kind of gone through the intro, but I love a nice RPG. I love getting to have conversations and choose the path you want to go in the conversation. That's one of my favorite things to do in a video game. It reminds me a lot of The Witcher 3, which is one of my favorite games. So definitely check that one out if you haven't yet. But people are here to have us talk about the Penguin, and so let's dive into it. 7 episodes in, only the finale remaining. What have you thought of the series as a whole so far?
Oh, I'm loving it so much. I think it's just so great. The writing's great. The acting is phenomenal. I think that it's gonna get a lot of Emmy nominations for sure. And just this episode was just that opening was so bleak. Like I know we'll dive into it, but like I was upset by this episode in like a good way, in a wow, they really went there kind of a way. But every episode, I just think they're just putting banger out after banger. It's pretty incredible.
You know, in a day and age where a day and age, I don't know why I said it that way.
You're a dad now. You're old.
In a month, in a month where we've had two shows that have been super popular centering around not a hero with Agatha All Along and the Penguin. They've teased in this one, you know, Agatha had she did some terrible stuff, but she also had reasons for it, and it had a lot of redemption like things happen towards the end of that series. But in the Penguin, they've been teasing from the beginning, no matter how understandable some things are with Oz at the beginning, you know, no matter how much of a mentor figure he seems to be for Vic, this is a villain. This is not an anti-hero. This is a villain. The good things he does are for his own self-interest, not for the good of the people. And we see that developing throughout this series, and they've teased that episode 8, we're really going to be seeing that with Oz as well. So who knows what's coming, but we do see it a lot in the flashback in episode 7, and these episodes just keep getting better. Episode 7 as a whole, I thought was incredible, but we might as well dive right into the flashback. After the big cliffhanger from the last episode, it kind of takes a step back with this one, but it's so worth it getting to understand who Oz is. Before we even talk about what happened with his brothers, I want to talk about his relationship with his mom, because it's so weird, and it's been that way since a kid. Like, it's a weird Freudian, I want to be my mother's husband kind of thing going on.
Yeah, like Tony literally said when the opening ended, he's like, "Wow, those kids died because he was a mama's boy." Like you know, it that's something that I think is, I don't want to say normal, but it's something that I think a lot of kids maybe go through, but then you like gradually grow out of it. And
It's cute when they're 3 or 4, you
yeah,
know, when they're 10, it's like, dude, figure your shit out.
yeah, it was such an insight because um you know, like you said, we're not quite talking about the brothers, but it's not like I don't think he left them there to die on purpose. I don't think he knew they were going to die. But even still, we didn't see any kind of guilt felt by him because in the later flashback, and it was like he sat there as the rain was coming down, and like it didn't feel like he felt bad about it.
As soon as his mom started worrying, could have been like, that was the opening to be like, that was the opening for remorse and to try and help. And when she's calling the police, and he's just like, "Ma, it's just gonna be me and you. I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it, Ma." And it's like, oh, dude. And like you have the moment where they're going to play flashlight tag, right? It's the same tunnel that is now his headquarters for the creation of Bliss. And it seemed like, oh, I used to play here with my brothers. It seemed like a very inspirational, uplifting kind of thing. And then you find out what playing here with his brothers actually looked like. And you see, he left them to die. They were playing flashlight tag. And you have the moment where you're feeling so bad for Oz, where it's like, that's a classic childhood moment, right?
Mhm.
Kids aren't thinking much. They do something that hurts the one's feelings. They go somewhere where he can't get to because of his leg, and they feel bad. They say, "Oz, come on, we didn't mean to." He shuts the door on him. Being a teacher for 5 years, that's a very much like real kid experience you get there. But usually what the kid does after locking them in there is, after they take about 10 steps, they go, "Oh no, I can't do this. That's a terrible idea. I feel really bad about this. What if I was trapped in there? I could never do this." They go try and open it. They can't open it. They find an adult and they immediately go for help to open it. They start crying because they feel so bad. Not here.
No,
Not here. This boy did not feel bad.
I was so shocked because we knew Sophia had said in an earlier episode that his brothers died young. And I just assumed that it was some kind of mob related thing. And I think that's what they want you to think. And the idea that like it was Oz, it was just is just icky because like you're talking about Agatha, you know, even in the comics, Agatha goes back and forth. She's the kind of character that you can like root for and root against, but like Penguin, no, Penguin, like, you know, I don't want to root for Penguin. And this show was doing a dang good job of making sure I know that he is not like, yeah, he loves his mom and he's good to his mom, but at what cost?
It's so interesting to see all the like, you know, the good he wants to do, and trying to the moments with Vic that he actually seems like a good mentor. And when he talks about wanting to be a benevolent leader in the neighborhood, you realize how much of it is just an unreliable narrator as the series goes on, because and we get a piece of it here when they go to the flashback. He talks earlier on about how this guy in my neighborhood, Rex, he took care of everybody. We loved him. He made sure the power was on. He made sure we had clean water. He made sure everybody had enough food for dinner. And you see in this one, that's childhood Oz's view of Rex, right? And his older brother, who sees more of it, is saying like, dude, no, you got to stop idolizing this guy. This is not a good guy. You don't know who he is. And Oz is like, yeah, that's a gangster. It's exactly who I want to be. And he's still in that same childhood brain now as a fully formed adult.
Yeah, it's great. Like, you know, we all have dreams as a child, but when you dream of being a gangster, and then it's funny because like, is he good at it? Is the question. Like, because sometimes it feels like he is, and sometimes it feels like he's not. You know, and I'm not
He
sure.
feels so Jack Sparrow-esque to me,
Mhm.
where you never fully know, is this guy, you know, like living in a world where we're still kids and we don't know that Johnny Depp is a terrible person yet, you know? We're still living in the world where this character is hilarious. And he goes in and he looks like he has no idea what he's doing. And then he pulls off a grand master plan, and you can't fully tell if that was the intent all along or if it was a happy accident. That's how I feel about the Penguin too.
Yeah, that's a fair comparison. We are not here to talk about Johnny Depp, but I want to say because it's really funny. I've never liked Johnny Depp. I've never been a Johnny Depp fan, and there's not a lot of evidence of me doing stand up, but there's a video of me from 15 years ago talking about like not liking Johnny Depp, and I think it's so funny that that lives on the internet. Like, ha ha! I told y'all 15 years ago. And but anyway, that's a dark subject that we're not really going to talk about. But I am proud that that exists on the internet.
That's a hilarious call. Like that's hilarious. You knew from day one.
Yeah,
The vibes were off,
the vibes.
and
The vibes were up.
that's hilarious.
You're right.
That's
You're right.
hilarious. I can't wait to immediately go look up that video
Oh
as
god,
soon
it's
as
not
we're
very
done
good.
here.
It's not
But
very.
you said early on you don't think, and our mutual friend Paul from Heavy Spoilers, guest
Mhm.
of your former pod, guest of Love in the Time of Hydra, and of course of Agents Fandom guest as well. Paul from Heavy Spoilers posted a poll on his social media. Do you think Oz killed his brothers on purpose? And I'm kind of with you. I don't think it was a planned out, I am going to kill these guys. But halfway through, I think it became a conscious decision of, yep, I'm good with it.
You know, I felt more. I don't think he did it on purpose, but but there is a point of no return. Like as a kid, you don't want to get in trouble, and I'm sure that I would imagine that after a couple days, maybe he was like, "Oh, we used to play down here. Maybe check there," and then the bodies were found, and he was never put a blame. But I would imagine, like, I really don't think at any part of that night that he was hoping they would die. I think he was hoping that they'd be miserable and wet and scared. But I really don't think he killed them on purpose.
Yeah, and it's I like that they kind of leave it up for interpretation. You know,
Mhm.
I like that they leave it up to, we don't really ever know what's going on in this dude's mind. And same with Sophia's, you know, we never fully understand the scope of her plans. And she doesn't play as big of a part early on in the episode, but she really does, um, come through in a big way at the end, we will say. Um, I just got message from Damon that his meeting ended early, and so he's going to hop in, and so I don't want to
Yeah.
fully breeze past the flashback portion until he's in here because I want to get his thoughts on that as well. And so in the meantime, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any great shows. Tomorrow, as of the time that we're recording this, I will be dropping my Bear McCreary interview from New York Comic Con. We talked Agents of Shield. We
Yeah.
talked the Rings of Power. We talked Percy Jackson. How he differentiates in his composing process with whether it's something that is pulling from a lot of lore like Percy Jackson, like the Rings of Power, or if it's something with like that he has to plan for a story he's never heard before, like Agents of Shield. So we got some really good conversations in there, and we also have my co-host Damon, also co-host of the Comic Corner
Amen.
podcast, ready to hop in and join in a great Agents of Fandom sweater, which you can find both of our sweaters on fandomify.com. Damon, what'd you think of episode 7 of The Penguin? And specifically, you came at a perfect time. We just finished talking about the flashback sequence. So give me your breakdown of the flashback sequence leading to, was it on purpose? Did Oz mean
Of course it was on
kill his brothers?
Oh.
Yes, that was on purpose. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. The second he left, he's like, you know what? Nah, screw you, you know? Mom's all mine. And he goes off. Like, man, little Oz had some mommy issues. Oh, there's a lot of mommy issues.
That's I described it as a Freudian I want my mom to be my wife kind of situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Little Oz should have maybe went to go get some therapy instead of climbing around in the sewers. But production-wise, fantastic storytelling, right? You see everything from his past with his mom and his brothers. You finally get to see what's going on with his brothers because he's been so reluctant of talking about them for so long. And whenever his mom brings up his brothers, he quickly changes the subject because I don't know. And now my question at the right now is like, does she know? Did she know?
I don't think so. I mean, she might suspect, but I
Yeah.
don't think. I think that's like this is not the kind of secret that is going to be revealed unless he willingly admits it, because I'm sure not another soul knows that that's what happened, and I would imagine that she probably doesn't fully know.
Yeah, but it's a great sequence. I mean, when you're talking about, for me, just like ways to die that are just horrific, that's a between two. That's a trap and a drown.
That
Like
would be
that's a
terrifying.
combo between the two. That's terrifying.
Yeah, that's like Casino Royale. When she dies in Casino Royale, it's kind of like that. She's in the cage, and as the water comes up, and like there is something like drowning doesn't scare me, but I agree, a trap drowning is like infinitely worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more because at least in like an ocean setting, you're probably gonna go into shock and like freeze, and before you're fully conscious of what's going on. In this one, you're just sitting there waiting for your doom, knowing it's gonna happen. That would be absolutely terrifying. But the next, is there anything else in the flashback sequence you want to talk about, Damon, before we move on to the next part?
No, I just thought it was really well done. And we finally get to see the brothers. They do exist. If there was a part of me that was just like, are they even real? Because like I was just trying to change conversation so much, and his mom clearly has dementia. So I was wondering for a while if like he even did have brothers, but clearly he did and no longer does.
It adds such incredible context to the last episode where Vic was using that as a coping mechanism to help Francis be like, oh yeah, hey, he just went to the store, he's gonna be right back, he's getting it. And you can see how clearly just that connection is able to calm her down, and Oz shuts it right down, and seeing why he shuts it right down is just, it makes it so much more powerful in hindsight. And we talked earlier before Damon got here about like how Oz has been an unreliable narrator throughout this, not just with his brothers, but talking about Rex. He still sees Rex to this day, how he saw him as a little kid, of like he took care of everybody and he made our community better, not realizing the negative impacts that he actually had, much like Oz doesn't realize his own negative impacts that he's having on his surroundings as well. I thought that part was super interesting. But the next sequence where we get the battle between Salvatore Maroni and his people and Oz and his people, I thought it was a great opening sequence, seeing how Oz has built that loyalty with his crew, and despite a few of them dying already, they were still willing to he got that loyalty from not treating them quite as terribly as other gangsters around the city. He got people jobs, he got people money in when no one else had, the government abandoned them, the city abandoned them, he didn't. And so he got their loyalty that way. But man, when the fight happens with Sal, he just gets the shit beat out of him until one of the funniest heart attacks I've ever seen, especially in like a non-comedy show. Jamie, what did you think of this battle sequence?
That was so funny. First, I agree. I really like that his men are loyal to him. I appreciated that. I even though it's like I don't want to be rooting for him, but like my brain can't help but still root for him a little bit. And I like that, but I love Clancy Brown so much, and like a part of me is like sad that he's dead, but what a funny way to go. I was cracking up, which is what after one of the most harrowing deaths we've seen, to jump right to a funny death is really great. And the way he's like talking to him as if he's still, oh, what'd you say? It was so like, just this guy's deranged. It was so funny. Tony and I were genuinely cracking up because we're like, this is how you're gonna let Clancy Brown die? The show, it's just full of surprises.
It really is. At no point do you ever know what's going to happen. They set the tone when Oz shoots Alberto right in the head at the beginning of the series, and that constant twist and turn. You never know how it's going to happen. From Sofia killing her family, there's so many examples of it throughout the season. They do such a great job. Damon, what did you think about that battle? Sal is absolutely kicking his ass.
Oh,
has
yeah.
the heart attack, and then he just stands over his dead body like, I beat you! I beat you!
Oz Cobb has got to be the luckiest SOB in Gotham history. There's like, I know there's a little bit of weaseling your way out of stuff, but you don't weasel your way out of like your opponent getting a heart attack mid-battle. It's like that is... I almost looked at it, I was just like, really? This is how we're going to do it? But also, it just made sense for this version of the Penguin, right? Just because he's been so Weasley in getting his way at, like, he's getting out of everything, that he would even somehow get his way out of this just out of shit luck. Like, pure shit luck. So, yeah, I thought it was funny, but I'm at the same time, I'm like, of course he gets out of this. And it's of course he's able to, like, not just that, but sell it to his people that he shot him and beat. Like, he beat Sal to his people. Not that Sal had a heart attack. He was able to shoot him a few times, throw him out to his people, and be like, look what I did. Look what I did, right? Only this guy. Only this guy.
I wrote an article for agentsofandom.com a long time ago, and it was called MCU Phase 4 Never Meant to Push the Plot. Because I was just talking about how the purpose of Phase 4 was never meant to lead us to the next Infinity War. It was meant to introduce us to brand new characters to fall in love with, brand new styles of storytelling to fall in love with, because we needed new ones, because so many of the characters that are the reason we love the MCU were gone. And so many of the, specifically the Disney Plus shows, that was their purpose. The only one that was really pushing the overall story forward of the universe is Loki. And that one had a very clear universal plot. But the rest of them, at the beginning of WandaVision, she is Wanda Maximoff. By the end, she is the Scarlet Witch. Ms. Marvel, at the beginning, she is Kamala Khan. By the end, she is Ms. Marvel. At the beginning of She-Hulk. She's Jennifer Walters. By the end, she is She-Hulk. And that's kind of the purpose of each of these shows, is to, at the beginning of Falcon when the Winter Soldier, he is Falcon. At the end, he is Captain America. It's meant to actualize these characters so that the next time we see them, they are who they're supposed to be. And that, to me, is what we're seeing in the Penguin. He's Oswald Cobb at the beginning of this show, and by the end, he is growing to become the Penguin that we recognize, the Batman villain that we know, and I was gonna say know and love, but nobody, I feel like, really loves the Penguin, which is another example of what makes this show so incredible.
There's some stands of Oswald Cobblepot out there, man. Don't shun down the few and proud.
I'm gonna chalk that up to the Batman's insane prowess in the comic book world, that all of his rogues probably have some stands of some kind. But I can't imagine there are too many. If you're a big Oswald Cobblepot stan, prove me wrong in the comics. Let me know. TJ's an idiot. I've loved Oswald Cobblepot since the day I was born.
I want to see your tattoos, your penguin tattoos.
Exactly.
Sleeves, every different iteration of the penguin in one tattoo.
Show us your office
DeVito
in your house that you call the Iceberg Lounge. I want to see it all. We teased this a little bit earlier, Jamie, when we talked about Sofia's role in this episode, and she doesn't really show up till halfway through, but when she does, it is powerful. Kristen Melody, once again, is just incredible with each and every performance. Jamie's a Sofia fan, so she cut her hair like Jamie. You got to prove us if you're prove to us Penguin fans. Yeah. Show us your top hats if you're truly a Penguin fan. Jamie, when Sofia comes in here, it's powerful as hell. She goes to see Gia. She realizes the terror that Gia has been going through. Still doesn't tell the truth. I kind of thought we were going to get a moment of, yeah, I did all of it. Here's why. Come join me. But not quite.
No, we talked about this after episode 4 of this kind of thing of like, well, if she took Gia in, it would be a repeated cycle of I have to lie to this kid about killing her mother, just like my father did to me. And I think that moment hit her so hard because she realized like this poor kid is already screwed up. She's cutting herself. She's in this home that doesn't look very fun. And Sofia knows though that this is still better for her than if she were to take her home. And it also made her realize like, why is she doing any of this? But she does say that moment to her where she's like, just so you know, this is going to sound weird, but our family were bad. They were bad. They deserve to die. And so I think that was not her necessarily admitting it, but kind of.
Damon, what did you think of the sequence between Gia and Sofia? I found it so interesting how for Penguin throughout the series, it's kind of like as soon as he feels overly disrespected, you get the impulsive bad guy that we know and have seen before, right? For Sofia, I found this scene a little bit similar to when she was in prison and found out she wasn't getting out, and then she decides to kill Magpie. For her, it's almost like my back's against the wall. There's nothing else I can do. If I have no clear direction, fine, I'm going to be the villain you think I am. Bam, we're blowing shit up. How did you interpret that scene?
There's a little bit of that beforehand too. When she's in the kitchen, you start to hear the kettle pot going and it's boiling over and it's boiling over, and you can literally hear that rage kind of going on inside her own head. But the way she approaches it, and this is why, I mean, at least with me, and I think Jamie may agree with me because she did cut her hair like Sofia. She's like the most empathetic character in this show, maybe the outside of Vic, right? But she may be the most empathetic. She's the one who, like, whenever she's giving her story, she's the one I almost understand the most, how she got this way, right? The beginning of this really showed why I really can't empathize with Oz Cobb. He's just clearly a psychotic person who's always kind of had that side in him. With Sofia, that had to be brought out. So when she went to go see Gia, there was at least a genuine part of her who was empathetic to Gia because she felt for her. She's trying to protect her, even though she has done terrible things. There are no really good people in this show, but she has done terrible things. but she is looking out for Gia. And you can really, truly see that when she saw Gia, like when she saw her arm, right? That's when her tone completely changed. She went in initially be like, I'm going to put all this over and blah, 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 right? She saw her arm and realized she's still getting hurt through all this. So she changed her tone to really tell her to be like, our family was bad. They kind of deserved it. Not kind of. They did deserve it. This is your chance to get out of here. This is your chance to have something I can't have. Because I think at one point in the show, she realized she wants to completely get out, but she can't. So at least for Gia, this is her way of getting out.
I think that is very, very well said. And I do have two questions for each of you about the finale. But before we get to that, I think I want to cover this part first, and how Sofia and Oz have kind of been foils for each other throughout this entire series. It has been their story, regardless of who else gets involved. They are the two primary characters, and Sofia, she blows up Oz's whole operation. She sends the bomb in, and it was really cool, like seeing all of Crown Heights just like drop like that. It was very Dark Knight Rises-esque, where with the football field. And it just makes you see, like, and even in the Batman, when they blow up this, like the seawall, it's just like an, oh shit, this is a type of damage that isn't able to just be like, all right, and then we fixed it up, and then the next day, like, you can't just move on like that. This is going to be a big deal. And Oz hides in that same tunnel that he left his brothers to die in. There is a part after we still get with one more flashback where we see his mom being like, well, it's just me and you. You got to take care of me forever. Saying almost exactly what he wants to hear. You got to take care of me forever. You got to make sure my life's perfect. You got to make it, buddy. And it's a very fond memory for Penguin. And I'm not going to touch on it more than that because I've seen the finale already, but I'll just say that to me continues the unreliable narrator aspect of this for Oz, with that is a much fonder memory than I think that is for his mom. But it's not portrayed as such. It's just portrayed as a very positive memory there. And this episode ends with a very similar cliffhanger to the last one. Last one, Sofia knocks out Vic. This one, Sofia knocks out Oz, right? And we're set up for the final showdown. Before I ask my two questions about going forward, what do the two of you think about how the finale has been set up, with Penguin on one side, Sofia the other, getting to where we are? Do you like the storytelling style, and how excited are you for the finale? I'll go to you first, Jamie.
Yeah, I think that Sophia's choice not to kill Francis, but instead to blow up, what was going on. She's realizing like she can do things her own way, and it doesn't have to just be about killing innocent bystanders. Not that I think Oz's mom is innocent, because you're talking about that flashback, and like that is a messed up thing to tell your like 11-year-old kid. Like, you got to take care of me. You got to have, that's a child, and like she's not. It's not 100% his fault that he's so dependent on his mother. But I love this. I love this movie because I don't know where it's headed. There's one theory I heard a long time ago that I've been really convinced is true, and I'm waiting for that to see how that affects Sofia and his relationship. And I don't know if it's true, but I think it sounded like it would. I don't know if we're talking theories, but
I like it. I like it. Dive into the full extent. Let's theorize.
Well, I don't remember where I saw this, but somebody said that they think that it wasn't Sophia's father who killed all those women, but her brother. And that like the father probably killed the mother, but that the brother may have killed all the recent like sex workers and stuff. And I think that might alter how she feels about Oz killing her brother. And that could change things. And I don't know. Again, I have no idea if that's true, but it's not as good as Damon's theory that all the sex workers are Clayface. If I had to pick, I would pick that to come true, but it seems less likely.
Damon, how about you? What did you think about the final showdown being set up between Sofia and Oz?
I'm not gonna lie, when that car came in, I was like, either Francis is dead or Vic's in that car.
Mm.
I thought there was a hot minute there that when
We
he
don't see Vic throughout the whole episode,
exactly
too,
that's why I was
right?
like, he got away, but I was like, what if there was a good portion of me that when I was just undoing that blanket, that robe, that we were gonna see Vic's face, and I was gonna be like, oh dang. But no, she just decided to blow up the place, which is cool too. Like, bombs are crazy. I also thought for a minute when he got into that manhole area that like we were gonna see like some like bones or clothes or something in there too. And I'm like, oh, but still pretty dark that he had to go to the place where he murdered his two brothers to protect his own life. That's just like at this point, classic Oz Cobb to find the most disturbing way to weasel your way out of like staying alive. I'm very interested to see where this finale is heading. And to go back to what I said earlier, where I don't know if his mom knows or not, I saw like that last going back and forth. In the back of my mind, I feel like she knows, but she was refusing to admit it. So, like, not like knows, but she's really suspicious and putting it all on, like, you did this. I know he was 11 or however old he was at the time, but you did this. This is all on you. This is your big plan. So, I'm very interested to see if by the end of this series, will Oz Cobb weasel his way out of life again for like the 8th time in 8 episodes or even more? Will Sofia make it out? Because that would be terrible. Or is Vic finally going to get like what's coming to him, and he's like going to be the thing that really pushes Oz over the edge? We do know that Vic is off to get an army, right? And even so, I do also want to say this. Even if Batman doesn't show up, and I'm not expecting he will, I'm okay with that. Like, I, at 0 point in this show, have I ever expected to see Batman at all. And that shows how good this show has been. And I think that's a great sign to this, because I'm not sitting around being like, well, where's Batman? It's like, well, I you may wonder at this point, like, there's a big hole in Gotham that he's probably going to go to investigate that and not go investigate what's going on with Sophia and Oz over here. So you could say that, like, if you really want to like put a storyline on there. But I'm very pleased on where we are in this show, and I cannot wait to next Sunday.
Well, that was my next question is, does this series need a Batman appearance? Because one of the things I've loved from the first few episodes was they really seem to make a point that this is taking place during the day. Bruce is sleeping or at some convention. He's not out donning the cape and cowl right now, and that's why we're not seeing him. And now it's getting to the point where all of this terror is happening in the Gotham streets at night, and now there's a big, huge hole in the ground. My brain can't help but go, okay, but why isn't the Batman showing up now? Not like I feel like the story needs it, the story they're telling, because I don't think at all. But the fact that it takes place in the continuity of a universe with the Batman, why isn't he starting to show up now?
I feel like by the end of the finale, it's going to be like, now it's on Batman's radar, and they're going to tease the sequel, Batman 2. I feel like this is a bridge that is going to get to the Batman, and I don't think we're going to see him, but I imagine the finale is going to at least reference him in some way. That's what I think.
That takes me to my final question. Do we have any theories, predictions for the final episode? Anything you would like to see happen versus anything you think needs to happen for the story to be told properly? I want to highlight our own co-owner of Agents of Fandom, senior writer, head of our social team. Even after that explosive ending for the Penguin episode 2, I'll accept that Batman might not show up in the series, but I do think the last shot in the finale, we'll see Penguin at the top of the criminal world while the bat signal turns on in the distance. What would you like to see in this final episode, Jamie?
Yeah, I think that's a really good guess. I'd imagine. I'd like to see some kind of. I don't know if Sophia and Oz are going to team up, but I would like to see them come to some kind of understanding. Like, I don't think that. I don't want it to be one is going to have to completely win and while the other can't, because I want to see both of these characters again. I would be surprised if Francis lives, but I think if she does die, it's going to be like a surprise, kind of like Clancy Brown's death. It's hard to say because each show episode has surprised me so much. It's kind of like Agatha. We always knew we were going to get Billy, but with Penguin, I'm like, I have no idea.
Damon, what about you? Anything you want to see? Anything you need to see? And actually, I do, because I keep forgetting to bring it up, I want to shout out the incredible performance from Deidre O'Connell, Francis Cobb, in this episode, because her acting was absolutely incredible, and it carries into the final episode as well. She just gives it her all and delivers an absolutely incredible performance.
The scene
Damon?
between Francis and Sophia is probably the best scene of the episode. Like,
Yeah.
that was such good scene work.
Damon, what do you want to see in the finale?
I want to see Clayface.
Yeah.
I need that theory. Will it happen? Probably not. But I want it to happen. I think Ryan's suggestion of the bat signal going off in the distance is the perfect way to handle everything Batman. You don't need to show him. You still know it's in the universe. And in the end, after everything's done, he's coming, right? That is what I would really think would be the best way to handle the Batman of it all. I really don't want to see Sophia die. I really don't. But I fear that's probably the case. I fear the Penguin is probably going to be the kingpin of Gotham. And I'm worried about that. I'm worried about our girl Sophia. I'm scared.
I hope the rumors that she's in the Batman are true. Batman 2, like, but I never know. I see things on Twitter and I'm like, it's all lies anyway. But that's the tweet I hope, or a rumor that I hope is true, because she's now who I care about the most in this universe.
I will say nothing other than the fact that I think the finale might be the best episode of the entire series. I think my favorite so far has been Sophia and Arkham, number 1. I think this one was probably number 2 so far, but I do think the finale might top all of it. It's truly an incredible episode of television, and we will be breaking it down as well, so make sure you check back for that. Like I said, we got a lot of fun games and drafts coming before we will be back for some live shows for the Skeleton Crew, for Creature Commandos, so stay tuned, hit the notification bell, make sure you subscribe to the Agents of Fandom wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Hit the like button if you are listening to us on YouTube right now. Help us battle that YouTube algorithm. We want to build this community, find as many people as possible. And one of the best ways to do that is by hitting the like button. Jamie, where can the people find you on socials, and what is coming up on Phase Hero and Loving the Time of Hydra?
Yes, you can follow me at Jamie Jirak on Instagram, Letterboxd, and TikTok, at Jamie Cinematics on Twitter, at Phase Hero, our new pod. Our next episode is Wednesday. We're talking Venom. Are we getting Venom horse tattoos? That's been the big question for months. Will this podcast end in Venom horse tattoos? We will find out. And then on Sunday, on Loving the Time of Hydra, we are doing the season 2 episode, The Writing on the Wall, and we have that episode's writer, Craig Titley, coming in to talk about it. And I'm really excited because he worked on the show for the whole series, and this was his first episode that he wrote. So that's going to be a fun one. Check it out.
Speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like I mentioned, coming on Tuesday this week, Tuesday, November 5th, we will have my Bear McCreary interview dropping on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We talk Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Percy Jackson, Rings of Power, and more, so make sure you check in for that one. Damon, lots of great interviews coming on the Comic Corner. What do we have dropping?
Ooh, we got some good stuff coming. So tomorrow is the first issue of Absolute Superman, the third of the first phase of the Absolute comics. This one's from Jason Aaron. We are going to be talking about that in its entirety. I'm very excited about this book. And just to tease the interviews coming up, 2 very big writers, 2 very big DC writers, and 2 very big DC writers who have written Superman. So there you go. Those will be coming out on the channel soon.
And that's why you got to make sure you subscribe wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. Thank you so much to Jamie for joining us. Thank you to Damon for coming in during his busy workday to give his thoughts And of course, thank you to all of us for listening as well. We will catch you next week. Peace.